Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Creative Differences podcast. I'm Dallas, and welcome to round 2 of the drinking game, where you take a shot every time I mention the DC animated universe. If you're alive at the end, you have not been paying attention.
Hey guys, it's Demi, and are you guys ready to talk about DC with some of your favorite comic correspondents? Because we're here to have a good time. Welcome to another episode of the Creative Differences podcast, your one-stop shop for movie reviews, Fancast Fridays, Throwback Thursdays, and a number of other pop culture-related items, kind of like today. Today we were going to do a movie review, but then the DC news came out, and we just felt like we're going to spend an hour just talking about that. So welcome to a recap episode. We are going to be discussing the first chapter of the DC Slate, which James Gunn recently just announced. We're so sad that it took us so long to get to the point where we could record. We thought we'd be waiting for other people. Had we known, we probably would have found a way to record this earlier.
Yes. Should have just left them behind. But, we didn't, because we care about them. And we care about you, the audience.
Which is why we do what we do.
Exactly. So, go ahead and like and subscribe, because, like I said, we care about you guys.
And we will be keeping up with all sorts of DC news. That's what we do here. So please like and subscribe if you guys want to stay updated on that.
Yep.
Because we have a good time.
A couple of big old nerds.
We are, for sure. The two of us, we're the best nerds on this podcast to do this episode.
Yeah, you got the right ones.
Got the right ones. So let's kick it off, shall we?
Yep.
We're definitely going to go in order of the way that James Gunn discussed it in his video. And we're probably just going to let James Gunn explain his vision to you instead of just having us do it. But let's start off. Apparently, James Gunn wants to release 2 films and 2 shows a year, which does not seem like too much, unlike what Marvel is doing.
Marvel is like as many as you can take and a couple more on top of that.
Yep. Yeah, there will be something once a month. Not necessarily a bad thing. But I think that's really ambitious for DC because DC hasn't quite been on that level quite yet. So I don't know. I'm excited. We'll see. A group of writers has been working together on DC's broader vision, and that group of writers includes Drew Goddard, who worked on Daredevil and The Cabin in the Woods.
Like him.
Jeremy Slater, who did Moon Knight. Christina Hodson, who wrote The Flash and Birds of Prey, Birds of Prey and the Fantabulous Emancipation of One Harley Quinn. Crystal Henry, who worked on the Watchmen TV series. DC Comics writer Tom King, alongside James Gunn.
Oh yeah, that's a solid team.
Yeah, a lot of people who have already worked in the comic book section of media, as well as an actual comic book writer. Dallas has talked a lot about how he would love to have actual comic book writers involved in the writing of these movies and the development of them.
I love it.
Finally, Colin will be able to get rid of his whiteboard because projects outside of the DCU will be labeled DC Elseworlds. So for instance, when The Batman Part 2 comes out, October 3rd, 2025, it will be labeled as a DC Elseworlds movie and not just a DCU movie.
Right. So boom.
But also,
simple.
The Batman Part 2 coming out October 3rd, 2025. Guys! The Batman was like one of my favorite movies of last year. I never get superhero movies for my birthday, let alone really good superhero movies like this. And now 4 days before my birthday, I'm getting the sequel to my favorite Batman movie of all time. I'm so stoked.
I'm excited.
I'm so hyped because the closest I got was Into the Spider-Verse or Across the Spider-Verse, and then they pushed it back.
They did, yeah.
And I'm hoping that that's not going to happen now with what James Gunn has said about release dates.
Fingers crossed.
So fingers crossed that I continue to get the Batman Part 2 for my birthday because I will be stoked. That will be the movie that I see over and over again for my birthday that year. I'm so excited. I'll be turning 33 that year, and I will be so excited about a Batman movie.
I mean, hey.
Batman's
dope.
Batman is dope. But moving on, the first thing that he talks about in that video is the movies that we have coming out this year.
Right.
First, we have Shazam, Fury of the Gods. Shazam has always been off kind of in his own part of the DCU, so he connects very well. That moves directly into The Flash, a fantastic movie that I really love that resets the entire DC universe. And then to move into Blue Beetle, a fantastic film about a kid who's a marvelous part of the DCU, and then into Aquaman 2, which leads directly into our next few projects.
Let's talk about that real quick. I think for years we've all kind of assumed that The Flash would be some sort of reset. Even before we knew we were getting a new guard to run DC, we all kind of assumed that The Flash would be a reset point.
And because Flashpoint is such a reset story, like in its source material, they use the Flash to reset stuff
all the time.
Yeah.
That's what you do a
comics
Flashpoint for.
And animated movies, like break out the Flash. We got to reset some stuff. He did a reset in the CW show.
Yeah.
So, like, it's what we expected.
Yeah, once you start telling us that Flash is going to go back in time and save his mom, we automatically know what story it is. It's
like,
Flashpoint.
Okay,
the movie doesn't have to be called Flashpoint for us to know exactly what the source of this material is. It's Flashpoint.
Exactly.
While it seems strange that the first ever Flash movie is going to be a Flashpoint story, this universe is in desperate need of a reset. So,
especially when it comes to the Flash, we need a new Flash.
I mean,
if we're going to have a Flash,
I think we all would prefer that it be a different one.
Yeah.
They are currently saying that there is still an opportunity for them to come back and play the Flash.
Okay.
I don't know if that is corporate speak for their movie hasn't come out yet, so
we'll see what happens.
We're trying to wait for the movie to make money before we just completely tell you guys that they are booted from this universe.
Yeah. If it makes $1 billion, sorry, y'all got to deal with Ezra a little bit longer.
Probably. Maybe. We'll see. Actually, you know what? Maybe they won't.
I mean,
who knows?
I don't know. I don't know how businesses think.
Yeah, but the thing is, though, James Gunn did say that The Flash is probably one of the greatest superhero movies he's ever seen.
Which I'm hoping that's coming from a place of honesty and not a place of, I'm the head of DC now. So, like, but that's dope. I want it to be good regardless of what they do following it. Like, I've been excited for this movie for a while.
Yeah.
I really like it movies that Muschietti made. It's just Andy Muschietti?
Yeah, it's just Andy Muschietti, and then his wife is producing.
Oh, dope. Okay, I didn't know that. But yeah, so I think it will be good. Controversy aside, I've heard things about the movie that make me excited for it, and I still am, despite the fact that it's been pushed back and switched directors and all these other things.
All sorts of things.
Yeah.
But yeah, on top of that, him saying that it's one of the greatest comic book movies he's ever seen kind of aligns with a lot of the rumors that have been going around about test screenings, about it testing so high among audiences.
Yeah.
And like being really high regarded amongst people who have already seen it. That would explain why DC and WB is so like intent on this movie is releasing.
Right.
People are going to see this.
Out.
So if it is really as good as people keep saying, like, yeah, no wonder they really want to put it out in theaters. Like apparently it's a very good movie, but we won't know until June or July of this year.
We'll find out.
Yeah. Before that, we have Shazam coming out though. And I've said it before off mic, and one of our friends like did not agree with my sentiment. But I have said several times, and I think I've said it in front of you as well, that Shazam is so disconnected from the rest of the DCEU that you could easily put it into a new universe and it wouldn't matter.
Yeah. It works fine.
Yeah. And that sounds like what they're doing. That sounds like what James Gunn was implying, was that these Shazam characters will continue on in this new universe.
Yeah. He talked about Shazam being in like his own corner and all that stuff.
Which he was.
Exactly. Shazam doesn't, they talk about the other stuff, but.
And you know what? Not being able to see Henry Cavill's head in that, at the end of that movie, it worked out.
That could be anybody.
Could be anybody. That Batarang, like, it's just a Batarang.
Right. That could be any Batman.
Yeah. So it really has worked out for the best. But with the Flash resetting, it sounds like Blue Beetle will be like the soft reboot beginning of our universe, which is cool because after watching Cobra Kai, I'm super excited about Jolo Maridueña playing Blue Beetle. And I would hate for, like, if that movie turned out to be really good, for that to be, like, the one shot and we're done. Especially because he is very perfect casting for that character.
I can't wait. Just as much as I love Young Justice, like, Blue Beetle movie sounds fantastic to me. I'm hyped.
I'm super hyped. I'm excited about a Blue Beetle movie. And I'm sure Gabby would be, too, if she were here. And then we have Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom, which will continue us down into our new universe. I'm curious as to how that's going to work out because remember there was the talk of Ben Affleck being in this movie. Does that mean Ben Affleck is no longer in it?
Yeah, I don't know what they're going to do because everything post Flashpoint is like
it's a reset. It has to.
Yeah, what does that mean for your
But it does mean we're keeping Jason Momoa as Aquaman, which probably means that he's not playing Lobo.
I think he posted something recently he's talking about like, yo, I'm not gonna stop being Aquaman.
Yeah, he was like, I am like, DC's Aquaman.
I'm Aquaman. Y'all can talk all that talk if you want to, but I'm not leaving.
Yeah, so I think it's safe to say that he will be staying as this universe's Aquaman, which is fine. His movie made $1 billion. People like this version of Aquaman.
Yeah, he's very likable. I like Jason Momoa a lot. Didn't love the movie, but I'm not gonna put that on him.
Second movie might be better. You might like this one more.
I might. We'll see.
We'll find out at the end of this year.
Yeah.
But yeah, that leads us directly into the actual chapter 1, Gods and Monsters,
Love that.
as James Gunn is calling it. This is only part of chapter 1. It's not even the full chapter.
Right.
Which is crazy. I think he said that the 8 to 10 year plan that they have in place is going to be 2 chapters.
Okay.
So right now we only have like part of chapter 1. So this is only like who knows how many of, I mean, it's 10 projects out of who knows how many projects for chapter 1. But our first one is Creature Commandos, which is, well, we'll let James Gunn explain.
Creature Commandos is an animated series. I've written all the episodes. Something we're going to do that's a little bit different at DC is we're going to have characters move into animation, out of animation, usually having the same actor play their voice as who plays them in live action.
Gunn does not mention in the video is that they already have 7 episodes in production. He wrote 7 episodes.
Okay.
So there will be 7 episodes this first time around. I really like the art that they presented. I don't think that's comic book art. I think that's from the animation. I think those are character models.
Yeah, it doesn't look, I mean, yeah, there are very different things that, like, there are different art styles in comic books, but this looks very James Gunn, especially all the way to the right, this like Weasel looking character.
That is Weasel. That's definitely
okay,
Weasel.
That's Weasel. I was like, yeah, that looks like Weasel.
Because I think Weasel's been on the team before.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah, I think the man all the way to the left is Rick Flag Sr.
Oh, okay. I wonder who this regular looking guy was.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know anything about this team.
No idea.
According to this article we have on Hollywood Reporter, the original team was assembled to fight Nazis. Love that.
We can still fight Nazis today.
It's yeah, because like
which is sad,
this is a modern take on the concept, but it's like they're still here. We might still need to fight Nazis.
At least the Neo ones.
Goodness gracious. But yeah, I'm curious. I know that there is a subset of the internet, Colin included, that has a different level of interest in monsters.
Go check out Colin's other podcast when it comes out for more information.
And just like, I can already tell the internet's going to get weird. They always do. It's going to be fun.
They might already be weird and we just aren't in that section of the internet.
Oh, I know they are. But like, whenever there's something that comes out.
Because there's Bride of Frankenstein in there. Frankenstein's in there.
Yeah. Like, you know, Frankenstein got the abs out. Bride of Frankenstein got the titty window in a shirt.
Oh, Lord. It's so funny because watching the video and him announcing the slate, I'm like, all right, cool. What we got? And he names Creature Commandos first. And I'm like, of course you named the most obscure thing you possibly could as the first thing on the DCU slate.
I was like, what the hell is that?
Exactly. But somebody out there knows what it is.
Yeah.
If you're out there listening to us, let us know in the comments below, like, what's Creatures Commandos about? Because I'm fascinated. I always am fascinated whenever people decide to make certain comic book adaptations about certain things, especially things I don't know anything about.
There is a Marvel, I guess, like, counterpart that I don't know if it's existed before, but I was reading one where Deadpool, he marries a demon.
Fun.
Yeah.
He would.
Shikla. He was, you know. I see the appeal, Deadpool, physically. But there was a spinoff kind of called The Howling Commandos, but it was like a werewolf.
That's a different Howling Commandos.
Yeah, exactly. It was like a play on the word howling. And it sounded just like this, but I don't know if they had done that before or if they just brought it back or if like this one came first. But either way, I'm sure it can be fun because that one was very fun.
Yeah, but James Gunn he wrote it all. It's going to be the same as every other obscure comic book movie that he's ever done, like where the characters were obscure before you see the movie or the TV show, where you're like, why would I care about these people? And you're going to end up caring about them.
Yeah, Peacemaker was fantastic.
Peacemaker, Guardians of the Galaxy. Nobody really knew who the Guardians of the Galaxy were before that movie came out, and we all fell in love with them based off of one movie that he did. So I'm sure that this will be probably great. We'll probably end up caring about all these characters. I'm excited. I love the idea of the voice work type of thing. I think the advantage that DC has right now coming after Marvel is they get to see all the things that Marvel's done and they get to incorporate it and evolve it into their own plan and still make it different.
Yeah.
So MCU didn't have animation until What If? And that was last year, the year before? And DC is now starting their universe with an animated TV series.
Yeah. Which I love.
Yeah. And I'm excited at that. And also they said they want whatever voice actors they get to also be the live action versions of those characters.
Yeah, I really like that connection because one thing that I've never loved is, and I guess just the nature of like different mediums, but how separate everything seems to be. Like when we got What If, it felt a lot more connected, which I thought was nice.
Yeah.
But there's always been the thing of like DC's really good at animation and Marvel's really good at live action. And it's like, Yeah. Like I watch animated DC stuff and it's so great. And then I watch Marvel live action stuff and it's really good. But like for the most part, a lot of Marvel's animated stuff just kind of feels like it's on the back burner.
Yeah.
But for DC to like bring it together in this way, I love it.
I think what James Gunn is doing, and I think he mentioned it in one of these articles that came out, is that he doesn't want you to go into this universe and like the TV shows are seen as like secondary,
Right.
which I think a lot of people do with the Marvel universe. Like the movies only matter to them and the TV shows don't matter as much.
Right.
He wants people to realize that no, these TV shows are just as important as the movies are. So like TV is not a secondary medium, it's just as good. And the same thing with animation. Animation is not a secondary medium, it is also just as good and it's just as valid and effective as a form of storytelling, and that's what we're doing with Creature Commandos.
Yeah.
And I'm also interested in if it's like if they're going to like hire legit voice actors for Creature Commandos and then using them as well for the live action.
That would be interesting.
Because in my mind, like my list in my head automatically I go to the actors from Critical Role. Because they're all voice actors.
Right.
So I'm like, okay, well, say you cast Laura Bailey for something. Like, and then she also gets to do the live action stuff too. That sounds like a lot of fun for me as somebody who loves her as a voice actor. And the most live action-y things that I get to see her do are either mocap for video games or Critical Role stuff where she's sitting in a chair, but I get to watch her facial reactions.
Right.
So I'm curious as to how that works out.
Yeah, and I would love that because I always love when voice actors get that shot in a thing that's live action, because you know I love animation a certain way. Like I love Tara Strong.
Yeah,
not a lot of people know Tara Strong.
They should,
even though they have all heard her in a bunch of things
1,000 times over.
But like, and not even to say not a lot of people, because she's really famous. But like when she was Miss Minutes,
yeah,
it's very different from oh yeah, that's the actress who voiced Timmy Turner
or Harley Quinn.
Right. It's like we're all watching these MCU shows.
Yeah.
So getting Tara Strong made me so happy. But yeah, that'd be dope.
But yeah, moving forward to Waller.
This is a story of Amanda Waller, played by Viola Davis. Viola Davis is going to team up with members of Team Peacemaker, and this is a story that's been created by Crystal Henry, who did Watchmen, and Jeremy Carver, who created the Doom Patrol. It is a fantastic story that's out of this world, and I can't wait for people to see it.
Thank you, James Gunn, for giving me hope that Margot Robbie might still be Harley Quinn. Yeah, once he said that Viola Davis was coming back as Waller, that was all I needed to know. Like I was really concerned. There are certain people in the DC universe that I'm just like, oh, I know that we should get rid of these people. I know that we probably should do a clean cut reboot.
Right.
But man, there are some people in this universe that are just like Viola Davis as Waller is legitimately like one of the casting choices. I was just like, I don't want to lose that.
It's really good. Like she's perfect for this.
That's something you don't want to lose. You don't want to. Viola Davis officially got an EGOT as of tonight. As of us recording this, officially has an EGOT.
You don't want to lose that.
There's no way you want to lose her as your Waller. And she's fantastic. And the fact that they're giving Waller a TV series so early on, like, dude, we had to wait how many MCU projects to finally get a Nick Fury project?
Right.
Amanda Waller's so interesting.
Speaking of Amanda Waller, I was looking for a good place to throw this in. Gods and Monsters, there's an animated movie with that title. It's a Justice League movie.
Oh, nice.
Amanda Waller's the president.
Oh, Lord,
and it's like a kind of Elseworld story. And it's interesting because Superman is Latinx. His name is Hernan Guerrero. And Batman is a vampire. It's
Actual Batman.
Huh?
Actual Batman. Actual
Batman. And it's Kirk Langstrom, who's actually Man-Bat in the normal continuity. Yeah. And it's
definitely
a wild
world.
But with him using that name specifically, I'm thinking like, interesting, James, what are you going to do? Like how off the beaten path are you going to get with this? James Gunn loves to do that.
I mean, I feel like this entire slate, not the entire slate, but quite a bit of this slate is off the beaten path. It's not what a lot of us would have anticipated.
Right.
Like half this slate, I was just like, I never would have guessed.
Yeah.
Waller should be fun. Also, confirmation that we're getting more members of Team Peacemaker back, so John Cena is probably staying in this universe again. Another confirmation that maybe I can keep Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn. Peacemaker was so good, and he already had a season 2 before he got set to be the CEO of this company. So why get rid of this stuff? Why get rid of the stuff that's working?
Yeah, keep what works and add to it.
Yeah.
While we get the spinoff.
Viola Davis deserves a spinoff. Also, Viola Davis is great in everything, but she's also I love her on TV. Like getting to watch her week after week on How to Get Away with Murder. Although there did come a time where I was like, how are you Where are you finding time to make all these movies and shoot a TV show?
That's always wild. Because I remember when I started watching Ballers.
Yeah, where's the Rock getting the time?
I was thinking about when the show, because I watched the show after it ended.
Yeah.
And then I was thinking about when this show was running and how many movies he was making at the time. And I was like, wait, you were doing this while you made Hobbs and Shaw and Jumanji
and all the Fast and Furious movies?
Like, bro.
You just don't go home.
Right. Do you sleep?
Do you see your family? Jeez, bro. But yeah, I'm excited. Waller is going to be great. And I'm excited to see whatever the storyline is. Because he said it's out of this world. And I don't know whether or not to take that like literally or figuratively. Especially because Peacemaker was a season about aliens.
True.
Yeah. And also with the way that Peacemaker ended for Waller.
Yeah. Oh, right. Yeah. I'm looking forward to seeing what they do with it.
Yeah, they're going to have to deal with that. And I wonder if he's going to bring Danielle Brooks back.
Is that
Adebayo.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I love her.
We all know Jennifer Holland's going to be in it.
As she should.
Harcourt should be in it. We love Harcourt. All you guys who are giving Jennifer Holland crap just because she's married to James Gunn, please stop. She's a fantastic actress.
Yeah, like I didn't even realize that they were married until well into watching Peacemaker. And I
don't think they got married until well into Peacemaker being on, if not until afterwards.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't realize they were together until like I was like, oh, good for you, James.
Yeah, but also
she's a really good actress.
She's phenomenal as Harcourt. Like Harcourt's a great character.
Yeah,
love her. She's fantastic in Peacemaker. And then the true beginning of the DCU, as James Gunn said.
The true beginning of the DCU. This is called Superman Legacy. This is being written by me. I'm in the middle of it. I'm having a great time doing it. And Superman will be released into theaters July 11th, 2025.
As James Gunn said, he's writing. Safran said that he hopes to convince him to direct as well.
Okay.
As of right now, Gunn is not directing. There is no director set for this film, but he is writing it, and Safran wants to convince him to direct it. Safran also says it focuses on Superman balancing his Kryptonian heritage with his human upbringing. He is the embodiment of truth, justice, and the American way, and he is kindness in a world that thinks kindness is old-fashioned. Yes, thank you for understanding Superman. I'm glad to know that we're heading in the right direction with Superman. Also, the picture that they used, which is from All-Star Superman.
Yeah.
One of the things that I really liked about this DCU slate, like this video presentation, was that it felt very much like James Gunn like presenting a pitch to a network.
Yeah. And
you really understood the tone that he's going for all of these. And even though he didn't say what the tone of Superman is, you look at that picture and you know. You know exactly what kind of Superman we're in for. And then you read Safran's quote, and it's like, yeah, we're actually getting Superman.
I'm excited. I saw the animated movie All-Star Superman. It's a good one. And at that point, I've never been anti-Superman.
You just haven't been a Superman fan.
Yeah, I've always understood, like I have people like my cousin, shout out Nick if you're listening, I know you're not. But like he does not like Superman. I have understood some things about Superman that make for like not always the most compelling story.
Sure.
So I don't watch a lot of I do now because I watch all the DC animated movies because I love them. Also, Superman's really dope. And a lot of people like revere it as like one of the better projects that they've had. So just looking into, the choice that he picked for the image, I know that James Gunn knows about all this stuff. So sounds like a good sign for me.
I'm excited because I've been saying for a while, and The Real Rejects had Koi Jandra, who is one of my favorite voices in comic books. I love listening to him talk about comics. He had a video that he just recently released where he talks about why they needed to reboot Superman and the type of Superman that they're bringing into this universe versus the Superman that we got out of what has now been labeled the Snyderverse.
Right.
And like why we need this version of Superman, because Superman's not supposed to be a character that's supposed to come down to our level. He's supposed to be a character that we aspire to be. And I really liked what Koi had to say about that. And he said something about Batman that also fits, where like Superman is what we aspire to be. Batman is who we are.
Okay.
That's a very interesting way of looking at it. So when we see a Superman movie, like you should relate to Superman to a degree. Like he was raised by good parents. He was raised just as a regular farm boy from Kansas. But the thing about him that is aspiring is the fact that he is so good and he is so kind and he is all these things that we want to be as people. Man of Steel kind of doesn't have that feeling to it. I feel like there are certain things about it that definitely they capture that about Clark at times.
Right.
but I don't think it fully captured what you need for Superman. To the point where recently I've told people that what I want out of a Superman movie is I want my Superman to be like All Might from My Hero Academia, which I am dead certain that All Might is just a Superman ripoff.
Okay, that makes sense.
I'm certain that he was just written to be that universe's version of Superman. Mm-hmm. But I love All Might. He's such a fun character. He genuinely cares about saving people. One of my favorite things about him is that he saves the world with a smile on his face. Mm-hmm. People like make fun of people who want Superman to smile and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And it's just like, I think My Hero Academia explained it best because All Might smiles to comfort the people that he's saving.
Right.
And I think that's beautiful. Mm-hmm. Like, it's not about the villain. It's not about fighting the villain. It's about saving people. Mm-hmm. He smiles because he wants them to feel safe and comforted. And that's what Superman is supposed to be.
Yeah.
That's what this feels like this movie's going to be. And I'm super excited about that. Although I can't wait to see who they cast either, because, man, I think I read somewhere today that they're looking to make Superman about 25 in this movie.
Okay.
So we shall see in the next couple of years.
Yeah, that's one of the things that excites me the most about these announcements is like, who are we going to get? Like, who's going to be our Superman and Superman Legacy? You guys can listen to our fan cast where we did all this. We did the DC. Well,
that's how we started the year.
Yeah. We didn't do Creature Commandos. I'm sorry. But we did
we cast
Superman.
The Justice League.
We did the Justice League. So find out who we want. We also did, well, you and I recasted our Green Lantern.
Which, speaking of Green Lanterns, the next thing up was Lanterns.
Yeah.
This is a story of a couple of Green Lanterns, John Stewart and Hal Jordan, and we have a few other Lanterns peppered in there, but this is really a terrestrial-based TV show, which is almost like True Detective with a couple of Green Lanterns who are space cops watching over Precinct Earth. In it, they discover a terrifying mystery that ties into our larger story of the DCU.
A writer is attached to this show, but has not been announced. Okay. And apparently actors have also met for the roles of John and Hal.
All right.
Initially, people might remember that Greg Berlanti was attached to the show as a producer. He's no longer attached due to, obviously, the creative path that they've decided to take with this show. Mm-hmm. I'm excited. We're getting the Green Lanterns at long last.
I'm so hyped. Like,
we're getting John. That's really the hype.
Take your first shot, DCAU. John Stewart is my Green Lantern.
Also my Green Lantern.
I came up watching the Justice League cartoon when I was a kid, and he's so dope. And just not only the fact that we're getting a Green Lantern show that sounds like True Detective, which is a show I haven't seen but want to.
Same.
But Hal and John, which, you know, there are a bunch of Lanterns. Those are my two favorites. So getting them both, your boy is hyped. Also, there's a movie called Green Lantern First Flight. I am your animated movie correspondent today. And I talked about it during one of our quarantine watches.
Yeah.
The best way I could describe it is Training Day, but the Green Lanterns, where Sinestro is Denzel Washington's character.
I was just recently listening to somebody on YouTube say that that's what they want this series to be. They want Sinestro to be part of like the Green Lantern Corps and then slowly become part of the Yellow Lanterns.
That's what that movie is. Green Lantern First Flight is Hal Jordan. You know, he starts as, which is funny, he's played by Christopher Maloney, who's always playing a cop. You guys know him from Law & Order SVU, and he plays Jim Gordon on the Harley Quinn show. The man is typecast as a cop. But yeah, Sinestro is kind of like taking him around to like, this is how we do it. And it's the same exact energy of Hal Jordan is Ethan Hawke, Sinestro is Denzel Washington. And this obviously won't be that with John Stewart and Hal because they're both good guys.
Yeah.
But the idea, basically, what I'm getting at in my roundabout way is the Green Lantern cop story. It works really well.
Yeah.
So whether it's Training Day or True Detective, I'm looking forward to seeing it. And it says they've, what did it say? They come across something terrifying or
something like that? Terrifying mystery.
I mean, hey, you want to throw a little Mindhunter in there? I'm with that too.
This show is going to be important to the DCU. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what James Gunn meant by like everything will be important. Like TV shows and movies will both be very significant.
Yeah.
Because, they're finding a mystery that has to do with the larger DC story. Mm-hmm. So whatever they discover in this TV series, it's going to affect the rest of this universe.
Yeah.
And I'm excited to see what exactly it is that they find. Most likely it'll be something cosmic because, like, even though this show is going to take place on Earth, mm-hmm. I mean, the Green Lanterns...
They're space cops.
Yeah, they're space cops.
That's their beat.
Yeah, space got to be involved somehow. They just happen to be, the ones checking out Precinct Earth.
And I think that's how you know it's going to be important, despite the fact that he said it. But this show could easily be in space. If they wanted to make it a separate thing, like don't even worry about what's happening on Earth, they could just put them in space. But the fact that it's terrestrial based, as they say, it's like, yeah, this is going to be tied in. I'm with it. Also, while we're here, if anyone knows James and can hear this and can get this to him, Sterling K. Brown would make a fantastic Jon Stewart. Just saying.
So would Trevante Rhodes, though.
These are our pitches.
You guys can also check out our Green Lantern fan cast. We've done that before as well. The first one, please ignore our Hal Jordan choice.
Yes.
Just skip directly to John.
Skip to John, and you can circle back to our new Justice League where we recast our Hal Jordan.
Yes.
And what did I pick? Zac Efron?
And I chose Glenn Powell.
Yeah. And
you guys can find out why in our most recent Justice League fan
exactly.
cast. This is us plugging our own stuff, guys. Come on, man.
I will keep doing that. Jonathan Majors for Superman. He ain't that much older than 25.
Ha, hilarious. But yeah, Lanterns should be pretty good. I think they said it's going to be an HBO Max show. But I also know that they said something along the lines of wanting to be open to sell their shows to different platforms as well. So it won't all just be HBO Max shows.
Interesting.
It'll go wherever they feel it should go.
Okay. I mean, we're going to find a way to watch them.
Yep. And then we've got, in true James Gunn fashion, The Authority.
The Authority is a passion project of mine. It's based on the marvelous Wildstorm characters we are now bringing into the DCU and will interact with all of our primary DCU characters. The Authority are a group of superheroes who think the world is broken and they want to fix it by any means necessary. I think it's a very different look at superheroes.
The movie's going to branch off from the Superman movie, which means that they'll be interconnected in some way. The storylines will align in some way. Be interesting to find out. The basic story is written, but there is no writer announced for it just yet. I know nothing about The Authority.
Same. I got nothing for you guys. I'm sorry. Like, I know I'm your animated guy. I'm your DCAU guy. Take a shot. But no.
Yeah, James Gunn said this one, and I was like, very James Gunn of you. Another obscure one. Don't know what's going on here, but I'm excited.
I didn't even know what Wildstorm was.
I didn't either.
So, like...
But apparently Jim Lee is in charge of that segment of DC, so interesting.
Oh, wait. Okay, I got one for you. I do know one of their agents is Grifter. And I know who that is because Grifter is in the Flashpoint Paradox movie, animated movie. And I remember thinking, who is this guy with the Deadpool-looking mask? He just has like a red mask on his face. So that is as close as I can get to knowing anything about The Authority.
Yeah, this is one of those situations where I'm like, I know nothing about it, but I'm excited to learn.
Yeah.
Like, show me the way, James Gunn. Who are these people? I
didn't know anything about Peacemaker either, and I love him.
There are so many comic book characters that I love now, and I went from not knowing anything about them to loving them based off of just watching a movie or two. So I'm excited to see what this is all about. A lot of people are relating this to The Boys. I feel like this movie will be... The Boys kind of is satirical.
Yes.
I don't think this is going to be satirical. I think this is going to be like we're taking ourselves seriously in like The Boys via Invincible.
Okay, I see what you mean. I can see that. Also, while we're looking at our article, James Gunn said one of the things of the DCU is that it's not just a story of heroes and villains. Not every film and TV show is going to be about good guy versus bad guy, giant things from the sky come and good guy wins. There are white hats, black hats, and gray hats. And Safran added, they're kind of like Jack Nicholson and A Few Good Men. They know that you want them on the wall, or at least they believe that.
You guys know me. I do love a good gray hat.
Yes, you do.
I love a good gray hat, which means that this movie sounds like it might just be for me. It also sounds like it could be rated R. This is the first of...
I can see that.
Yeah, this is the first of the DC movies that are announced that I'm like, this could be rated R.
Yeah.
And I think that James Gunn won't hold back. I don't think that he'll restrict everything to being PG-13. I think that with it being under WB, they have the opportunity to just make things whatever rating they really feel like it.
Yeah, like whatever works for it. They don't have to try to chase a PG-13. Like, it worked for the Suicide Squad.
Yeah, but I guess that depends on what they mean by any means necessary.
They're going to kill some people.
I would assume so. How graphically they kill them is a different story.
Fair.
But speaking of possibly graphically killing people, next up we have Paradise Lost.
Paradise Lost is a story of Paradise Island, usually known as Themyscira, which is the birthplace of Wonder Woman. It's almost like Game of Thrones with Westeros, but with all of the inhabitants of Paradise Island.
A Wonder Woman prequel series about Themyscira explores the political intrigue of a society and island of all women, as well as the beautiful and ugly truths that go into creating such a society before the birth of Diana.
I am worried. So we heard the Game of Thrones connection that he said.
Comparison.
Yeah, that's the word. I was like, what's the word? Comparison. Thank you.
Words are hard.
Words are hard. Wording is hard. I've heard great things about Game of Thrones.
It's a fantastic show until like season 8.
Right.
Or season 5, depending on who you are.
I have decided, nah, not for me.
It's probably not for you.
This could be like what I want in terms of, getting Game of Thrones without Game of Thrones. But to put it bluntly, I don't like rape. I don't like incest. I think we can avoid incest with Paradise Lost.
For the most part, yeah, definitely. There's nothing but women on these islands.
I mean, that doesn't save you.
Oh, God. No. No.
But my issue is, depending on the medium and the target audience of the Wonder Woman story, it's pretty dark. Where like the Themyscira before,
yeah,
depending on your version, like Heracles came through with his boys and just did terrible things to the Amazon.
Yeah, my thing is I think you have to do the terrible things, but I don't think you have to do them graphically.
Yeah, fair. You don't have to. We ain't gotta.
I don't need to watch people
exactly.
like be sexually assaulted.
You can tell us it happened.
You can fade to black. We can make assumptions. We can do, and I've seen some people on YouTube who have been like, "Nah, show it all," and I'm like, "No, don't. That's okay." Why?
I know the rule is show, don't tell. When it comes to that,
you can just tell me.
I am very fine with tell, don't show.
Or just ellipses.
Yeah.
We understand what an ellipses is. Come on, guys.
Yeah. But putting that aside, this sounds like a really good idea. Like Game of Thrones on Themyscira, I'm with it.
Fantastic idea. It feels like what you want to do with Greek myth.
Mm-hmm.
This is the type of story that fits that genre.
Yeah.
Go for it. And that's the thing I'll give this slate. Everything feels like it's going to be different from one another. Nothing is going to be the same thing over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
This does not feel anything like the past shows that we've been shows or movies that we've been talking about so far. This is completely different. I do like the comparison to Game of Thrones. I am a Game of Thrones fan. I don't like watching all the assaults. I'm good without it. But like, I do like the concept of the political intrigue and the creation of a society, and especially a society like this one where there are no men. And how, like, are there going to be Greek gods in this show? How do the Themyscirans communicate with these gods? What are their relationships like with the male gods, since they have this seeming hatred for men?
I imagine they're not great.
And the world of men. But there must be a good enough relationship that they would be able to get Zeus to make Diana. So,
some kind of negotiation or something.
Yeah, so I'm fascinated at that idea. I think it's a great idea for a show. There is no Diana, and I'm curious as to whether or not is Gal Gadot going to stay as our Diana, or is this another pathway into giving us a new Diana, but giving us time away from Gal Gadot to get used to her not being there.
Right.
But I do think it's a fantastic way of still giving us stuff for our DC Trinity without having to use the entirety of the DC Trinity. But speaking of the DC Trinity, the last member of that is Batman.
This is the thing I'm the most excited about from the whole announcement.
The Brave and the Bold is the story of Batman and his actual son, Damian Wayne. This is based on Grant Morrison's great comic book run. Damian Wayne is my favorite Robin. He's a little assassin who Batman tries to get in line. And so this is the story of the two of them and the beginning of sort of the Bat family in the DCU.
Y'all heard James Gunn say that Damian is his favorite Robin. And in that moment, I was like, oh man, he just like me. Damian Wayne, outside of Dick Grayson, because I feel like when you say who's your favorite Robin, Dick Grayson feels like the Tommy Oliver decision. Like, I feel like most of the general audience knows who Dick Grayson is. I feel like they don't realize that there are like 5 Robins out there.
Right, he's not the only one.
Yeah, for them, if you said, who's your favorite Robin, they'd be like, there's more than one, which means for them, it would be Dick Grayson.
Yeah.
But for me, outside of Dick Grayson, my favorite is Damian Wayne. I think Damian Wayne is one of the more interesting characters in the Bat family because of his origin. He is Bruce's actual son, and he's the son of a terrorist.
And the grandson of the terrorist.
Yeah.
Ra's al Ghul is that dude.
Which, speaking of the Al Ghuls, if Damian's in this movie, that means we're probably getting Talia and Ra's as well. Like, they might just be the villains of this movie.
That would be amazing. And
we have to have the League of Assassins, the League of Shadows. They have to be here. League of Assassins, whichever one they decided to use.
Yeah, whichever one they use, it switches. But DCA, you take a shot. Even in animation, Talia is a walking splash zone.
So, yeah, Talia's always bad.
Seeing
Batman likes himself a baddie.
He does.
Literally and figuratively.
And seeing Italia, who, like, no disrespect to Christopher Nolan's version, but isn't just a white woman, would be great.
Yo, James Gunn, do not whitewash the Al Ghuls. I'm begging you. And that includes my boy Damian. Don't do our boy like this.
And man, I'm so excited. Like, what are we going to do with Batman? Also, with Damian being a character in this, are we going to have references to the other Robins? Are we going to get to see them? Is Nightwing going to show up? Because I've always loved in the DC animated movies, the relationship between Nightwing and Damian is this kind of like, Damian, he got smoke for everybody.
He don't care.
And Nightwing is he's well adjusted, he's mature. He's like, yo, who is this little psychopath you brought home? Like, what's going on?
I think in that article that you have open, I think James Gunn and Peter Safran call him a little son of a bitch.
They do, yeah.
I love Damian.
And he is, but like over time you start to see, because the animated movies have their own continuity, that over time they start to grow as more of a family.
Yeah.
So he is the oh man, I wish I could think of the name. Kayla is on Webtoon. There's a Bat Family Webtoon.
Oh, I've heard of that Webtoon.
It's so good. Like, I don't read Webtoons a lot, but Kayla's always reading it. She shows them to me. It's not really as much of a superhero comic. It's about the family.
It's a family comic.
Yeah. All of the family dynamics are fantastic. And I know this is going to have to focus on, Damian's killing people, but just that dynamic makes me so happy.
But yeah,
there's so many things that you can do with this.
Like, you saying that though, like, doing this is such a good idea. This is such a good idea to do for a Batman movie, because we already have the Batman and you want to separate from that. So you can't go back to doing like an early Batman, because we've already got that going with the Batman series.
Yeah.
But also, I think there's the chance of this being a lot more. And I say as somebody who thinks that the Batman is a very comic accurate version of Batman. This is an opportunity to do a very comic booky version of Batman that we haven't done in a long time.
Yes.
Like one that feels like he actually fits in with a Justice League, which is what this one's meant to be. I feel like there are so many different aspects of Batman that we see in comics. It's almost like they're separate people. Like there's like the Justice League Batman, who isn't necessarily the same as the Batman that we see running things in Gotham.
Right.
There is something a little different about those versions of Batman. And I feel like this version is the one that rolls with the Justice League. And it's the one that will have Damian in it. And we finally get a Robin. We haven't had a Robin on screen since the 90s.
Oh, man.
Since Batman and Robin.
Jeez.
And the first big screen Robin that we're going to have since then is freaking Damian Wayne.
That's crazy.
And then Damian just also brings a whole different dynamic, because Dick and Jason and Tim aren't Bruce's actual children. They are his wards, and
not his blood.
He takes care of them as his children, but they have the choice to be like, yo, I'm out. And they do. Yeah. Every single one of them gets the out of like, I don't want to be here. I mean, Jason dies, but Jason comes back very angry at Bruce.
Yes.
They all get that opportunity to be like, I don't want to be here anymore. Goodbye. Damian is his actual son. And not only is he his actual son, he's a child. Yeah. And he's a child who has been raised to be an assassin, which means that Bruce now has to teach him to unlearn all of these different habits.
Right. Teach him some humanity.
Yeah. It's different than taking in a kid off the street. Like, this is his actual blood. And he gets to treat Damian the way that he always wished that his parents had been around to treat him. It's a whole different aspect to the trauma that he's experienced from losing his parents and having his own actual child that he can now dote on.
Yeah.
It brings so many new aspects to Batman that we haven't seen on screen before, because we've been avoiding putting Robin on screen for years. And I've been an avid put Robin on screen for a long time. And now we have Damian, which you and our friend Jesse were like, don't put little preteen Dick Grayson into a Batman movie. I've been like, do it. But now that completely like averts whatever you two were worried about, because Damian was raised to be an assassin.
Right. He's not a normal preteen. Yeah. It's not the same thing as taking Robin from the circus, taking Dick Grayson from the circus and just, now you're in the streets. But like, Damian was built for this. He was raised for this.
Talia and Race were like, nah, you're going to be built for...
They're like, you're not a child, you're a weapon.
Yeah.
But, well, first thing.
I'm getting Bruce and Talia. Here we go.
First,
I'm getting Bruce and Talia and Selena and... Oh my God. I got both of them at one time. I'm winning.
I found the name. It's Batman Wayne Family Adventures. Nice. It is written by CRC Payne and the art is by Starbite. So shout out to them. They're great. It's funny how I'm a hypocrite because on paper, bring a preteen into this, it sounds like a terrible idea, and I don't want to see it. But there are some great father-son moments with Robin, even with Dick Grayson's Robin.
Yeah.
Like not DCAU, so you don't have to drink, but the Teen Titans show, one of my favorite moments is when Slade brings in Robin, coerces Robin to come in and be his apprentice, and says, who knows, I might even become like a father to you. And Robin says, I have a father, and he looks up and you see like bats flying in the sky. And I was like, that's so dope. But just, there's so much potential. With any Batman adaptation, there's so much potential.
There's so much to draw from.
Exactly. And with this being so far into Batman's, career as Batman, you can do things in such a different way. Like with Zack Snyder's version, we got an experienced Batman. We got references to
we got a Frank Miller Batman.
Yeah, we got references to wind up penguins. We got a Robin suit. We know that Harley and Joker killed a Robin. Harley Jason.
It's Dick.
They killed Dick?
Zack Snyder said it was going to be Dick.
That's ridiculous.
I agree, which is why we needed to reboot this universe. But continue.
Come on, Zach. I try to give you the benefit of the doubt sometimes. You do stuff like that. But it's fine. With Damian here, I can theorize. I can see what Nightwing is doing. I can see, did we get a Red Hood already? Are we going to get a Red Hood? Dylan O'Brien would be great if we are. Just saying. Do we have a Red Robin? Do we have the other 1,000 kids that Batman's taking off of the streets?
And seeing as he said the beginning of the Bat family, it seems to me like, we do. We have
I want
these
a whole Bat family film series.
And people have been waiting for a Bat family. It's the perfect way to distinguish it from the Batman without having to do too much.
Yeah, and I love that. Also, since this one already has Damian, he doesn't have to be super young, which means Charlie Cox would be a fantastic choice.
I think he's a little bit busy playing Daredevil right now.
He is playing Daredevil. But hey, if The Rock can be in 10 movies a year and ballers.
Listen, let Charlie Cox get some rest between seasons. Dang.
No, you fight them hallways and then you come fight these Gotham criminals, Charlie.
But yeah, no, a lot of people have been like, oh, that means we have an older Batman again. We didn't want the complaint was that it was an older Batman. It's like, no. First off, Damian's like 12.
Right. He doesn't need to be old Batman.
Right. Like Bruce could be in his mid 30s and still be old enough to have a 12-year-old child.
Yeah.
Like he doesn't have to be super old. He could be 35 and he was 23 when he had the kid. Like we don't know when Talia had this child.
Right.
She could have had this child before he was Batman.
True.
But yeah, no, I'm excited. Like if you had told me, I knew we were going to have to get a new DCU Batman. Because I did not want the Batman to be involved in this universe. Mostly because Matt Reeves doesn't want him involved in an expanded universe. So it's like, if he doesn't want it involved, leave him over there to do his thing.
Right.
But it was like, but that means that we need a Batman. You cannot have a DC universe without a Batman.
Right. He's the guy.
He's that dude. And this is the perfect way of bringing him in and differentiating it from the Batman.
Also, I can't let us talk about Batman without giving a shout out and a rest in peace to the GOAT. Kevin Conroy, my Batman. Take a shot. Take 2 shots. One for DCAU and one for Kevin Conroy because he's great.
Yes. Pour one out for the legend.
Exactly.
Yo, man. I'm really hyped for that one. I'm really hyped to see what they do with it because it could be like just the total opposite of what the Batman is. And that'll really differentiate it from, people won't get confused then. It'll be too different. It's already too different because he's got a kid in one of them.
Yeah, he's got a freaking kid running around.
But yeah, so like, Bruce and Damian exploring their family dynamic, knowing that there are probably other previous Robins who are running around everywhere. Talia and Ra's potentially being in this movie. I feel like you can't do this movie without Talia and Ra's showing up at least at one point.
Right. It's not as much as...
Because this is Bruce meeting him for the first time too.
Right. And you need Talia for that. He's not just going to find him. Like, she has to tell him, yo, we got a kid. Here you go.
Or, I mean, he could just Damian could find him, but I assure you, Talia would come looking for that boy.
Right. There's no way we're not getting a Talia, which, love that.
Love that. Make sure she's Middle Eastern or Chinese, please.
Just not white. Don't make her white.
Don't whitewash this. They're the Al Ghuls. Like, come on, man. Head of the demon. Let's go. You guys can also check out our fan cast for that, too. We have a fan cast.
We fan cast with all these characters, for the most part. Going from one of the most iconic DC characters in the world
to one of the cult classics. Booster Gold.
Booster freaking Gold.
Booster Gold is one of comics' really popular cult heroes. He is a fascinating guy. He's a loser from the future who uses future technology to come back to present day and become a superhero so that people will love him. It is basically the superhero story of imposter syndrome on an HBO Max series.
This is where I'm thinking, this is James Gunn. If you tell me James Gunn is doing anything in DC, even before the Suicide Squad, before the Peacemaker, I would think he would love a shot at Booster Gold.
That's his bag.
Booster Gold is so silly.
I don't think he's gonna write it, but like that's his bag.
And I want him to, because Booster Gold is so ridiculous and so silly. Even in Take a Shot, Justice League Unlimited, which is the only reason I know who Booster Gold is, he's just such a goofball. And he's so silly. He's made his way into a lot of the animated stuff, not even just in that universe, but like the actual show Batman Brave and the Bold. He's in that. He's just consistently a loser. Like James Gunn said it in his
he called him a loser from the future.
Which he is. For those who don't know, he's not
cool.
Not really a superhero. Like he lives in the future, and in some museum or something like that, he, I think, breaks in and steals a bunch, like a suit, and time travels back to the past, where I guess he figures maybe it'll be easier for him to be a superhero. Nobody knows who he is. Nobody knows he's a loser.
For sure.
But as they described it, it's imposter syndrome as a superhero. So I don't know what we're going to do, but I look forward to finding out.
What I do know is too many of you guys are saying that James Gunn is going to cast Chris Pratt, and I need you to stop putting that in the universe. I love Chris Pratt's work. I really do. He's fantastic in everything that he does that I've seen so far. There are other actors.
He's everywhere.
Let other people have a shot, please. Like, there are other funny blonde guys who act.
Yeah, I look forward to seeing what they do with that.
Calm down, y'all.
Which, like
he'd be perfect for the role.
That's
but
the thing, is it sucks because it's like, they're not wrong, but, you know, it doesn't always have to be Chris Pratt.
We got to stop going through the same circles for fan casting, guys. We really do.
But man,
we just be casting other superheroes to play other superheroes. It's like, why?
That's true. But yeah, not a lot to say about Booster Gold. He's a goofball.
I'm sure it'll be funny. It'll be a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
It's supposed to be an HBO Max series, so it'll have a budget.
Yeah.
All these shows are going to have a budget.
Yeah.
That's why WB's probably canceling all them other shows. They're like, yo, we need to have the money to put into these.
We need to get these James Gunn shows.
Speaking of needing money, because they're going to need a lot for this one. Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow.
One of my favorite comic book series from last year was Tom King's run on Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow. And so we're going to turn that into a big science fiction epic film. Now, Superman is a guy who was sent to Earth and raised by loving parents, whereas Supergirl in this story, she is a character who was raised on a chunk of Krypton. She watched everybody around her perish in some terrible way. So she's a much more jaded character.
Yo, here's the thing. I think about like which projects am I most excited for about the DCU and like it varies. It depends on what day that you talk to me. Some days it's this one.
Okay.
Because I'm a huge science fiction nerd.
Right.
I love a good sci-fi epic. I really like Supergirl as a character, and I have since Smallville. I think a lot of people imagine a very bubbly Supergirl. That's been the main one that we've been getting in media, on TV, and in movies. But Smallville Supergirl was my first Supergirl. And one of the things that I liked about her was, yeah, she was very nice and very compassionate, and, you know, she was a nice person. I wouldn't call her bubbly,
right,
per se. She was naive as to Earth culture because she had been basically in cryostasis for years.
Yeah, that makes sense.
In a bridge. And so she had no idea what Earth was like. So a lot of it was her learning about Earth from Clark. But also when it came to Kryptonian stuff, when it came to Clark fighting crime, she was real hardcore about it. Like, she wasn't really nice about it. Clark is always, you know, wanting to save people. But Smallville Supergirl was like, yo, if I got to laser this dude, I'm going to laser him. Like, I don't see what the issue is. Why can't you learn how to use your abilities properly? Why can't you fly yet? There was almost a jaded aspect to that character when it came to Kryptonian stuff because she had more of a maturity in that aspect of her life. The thing about Supergirl is she is technically older than Clark.
Yes.
But Clark has come out older because she was in stasis for so long or because of the way space-time works, depending on what universe you're dealing with.
Right.
So I'm very interested in them kind of diving into a more jaded aspect of Supergirl. I feel like this is their way of also giving fans that Man of Steel vibe that they wanted so badly, but with Supergirl instead of Superman. You already have Superman being the bubbly one. You can afford to have Supergirl play it a little differently. We've seen, you know, so many versions of her thus far that have been very bubbly, but you can also kind of play into that jaded portion of her as well. I started reading the Tom King comic. I've read the first issue so far, and I'm very fascinated and very interested. The comic art is fantastic, and I'm going to let you give your opinions, your thoughts on what's coming with this so that I can look up the artist who did the artwork for it, because I want to give them credit as well, because I don't like it when I only give writers.
Fair. Especially for a medium like comics, it's like a lot of the artist is doing their thing. I am curious because the way to describe it, it's going to be dark when you watch everybody you love die horribly. It can make you suggestible to certain things. I'm an animation guy. You guys remember this about me. The last episode of Young Justice, we see Supergirl. She's with the Furies. It seems like they never give Greg Wiseman, hey, 2 more seasons. It's just make another season. We'll tell you later if we want you to keep going. So we don't know if we're getting more of that. But Supergirl has had affiliations with Apocalypse in certain things. Like there's a movie called Superman, Batman, Apocalypse. And this is one where Supergirl shows up. They don't know who she is. Kevin Conroy's in it. Tim Daly's in it. Susan Eisenberg plays Wonder Woman. It's all fantastic. Shout out to the DCAU. Take a shot. She ends up, I can't remember how it happens, but she ends up on Apocalypse kind of being tied to Darkseid. Like I could see there are places they've gone with Supergirl before that tie into that darker element.
Yeah.
And I could definitely see them doing that again. Also, this movie has a sequence where she's being trained on Themyscira, and I think that would just be super dope to see.
Okay. See that now me and you are like on the same page as this because like, yeah. Well, first off, the art for that comic is done by, I'm going to butcher this name. I'm so sorry. I'm going to write it on the YouTube video so that you guys know what her name is. Bilquis Evely.
Okay.
Yeah, the art is fantastic so far. Also, the first issue has like when you first meet Supergirl, she's drunk off her ass and like and cuts a man's arm off.
Oh
like
my God.
she's legit. Speaking of like darker iterations of Supergirl, though, I've also been reading, and I need to go back to it, Dark Knights of Steel, which I believe is also a Tom King comic.
Okay. Nice.
Which is, but it's a fantasy version of the DC universe.
Oh yeah, I've heard of that.
Yes. First off, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
Love that comic so very much. But in it, Supergirl, spoiler alert for anybody who hasn't read these comics, which I'm sure is a lot of you, her people are at war with Black Lightning's kingdom. Black Lightning has his own kingdom.
Black Lightning. Okay, cool.
Yeah. Mind you, she was training on Themyscira. I think she's like dating Wonder Woman or something. It's ridiculous. It's really cool though. But she finds out her father dies. Finds out it's somebody from Black Lightning's kingdom, or she just assumes that it is, goes to their kingdom, grabs Black Lightning's son, lifts him into the air, and then drops him in the courtyard and kills him.
Yikes.
And that's that. And then I think later on, she also just like massacres a bunch of his people on a ship. Like,
goodness gracious.
She ain't new to the business. She's a character who has done darker things in the comics. Oh, I'm sorry. Dark Knights of Steel is done by Tom Taylor.
Oh, okay, different Tom.
So many times. So many times, guys. And hold on, who's doing the art? Because the art is actually freaking phenomenal on this book, too. I think her name is Yasmin Putri.
Okay.
But anyway, art on that is phenomenal as well. Stunning. But yeah, like I feel like Supergirl has had ties to the darker side more often than Superman ever has.
Yeah.
So it's much easier to just be like, yeah, let's make Supergirl the darker one. There has been comic evidence of her doing such things. Mm-hmm. She's not always the bubbly journalist that we see on TV or in movies, I guess. She has one movie. I haven't seen it. Like, she's more likely to do the darker things than Superman is. So let's give Superman the bright and hopeful movie that he's supposed to have. Mm-hmm. And then we can play with Supergirl.
Yeah.
Supergirl literally just had like a 5-season show where she was Superman, basically. Mm-hmm. So, we can play around with her characterization a little bit more here. And then she can also just end up becoming the Supergirl that we love and know by the end of that movie.
Also, speaking of playing with Supergirl, I think
that's a choice.
It sure is.
Choice of words.
I think you should watch the movie Superman, Batman, Apocalypse for a couple of reasons. One, we know that you like, as you said, gray hats.
I do like gray hats.
You like, to put it bluntly and maybe a little reductively, evil women.
Not necessarily evil, but sometimes, yes, they are evil.
Just like the looks that Supergirl is giving in this movie when she's on Apocalypse.
What is she? She's not wearing much of anything.
It's just like there are certain shots of Supergirl in this movie.
Oh no, Supergirl, no.
But it's also just the energy that I'm like, oh, Demi would love this.
Supergirl, go put some clothes on. What are we doing out here? That's Power Girl.
Yeah, it's very, very Power Girl. But man. Right, like this vibe of this is a character Demi would like to watch.
It is probably a character I would like, though. Definitely.
Also, she's voiced by Summer Glau. Yeah, there it is.
I love Summer Glau.
I figured you would just based on her filmography.
Firefly.
Yeah, I was like,
River Tam is one of my favorite characters. I love River Tam.
I was like Firefly. Okay, cool.
River Tam might have been when I realized that I like characters who are women who are unhinged.
Oh, well, perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to see this movie because she gets real unhinged when she goes to Apocalypse.
I love Summer Glau. That's fantastic. Yeah, no.
Yeah.
I might
it's Summer Glau and the DCAU cast, so take a shot. It's great.
Yeah, I'm really excited about the Supergirl movie, though. You know, it depends on the day. Some days I'm like, yo, the Brave and the Bold is what I'm most excited for. Some days I'm like, yo, Superman, yo, Lanterns, yo, Waller. Man, when I first watched the video, though, I was very much like, yo, this Supergirl movie sounds very much for me. I love sci-fi. I love female superheroes. And she's sounding a little bit more of a gray hat on this end of the spectrum. But speaking of things to be excited for, something for you.
Yeah.
Swamp Thing, which we didn't get a lot of information about.
No.
And that brings me to Swamp Thing, the last thing we're going to talk about, a very dark horror story in the origins of the monster who is Swamp Thing. And although it's totally outside of the rest of the DCU, it will still feed into the rest of the stories.
I got what I needed. It's a horror movie. It is a horror movie.
This one might actually be the legit superhero horror movie that you've been waiting for.
Yeah. And we were talking in our reaction that hasn't come out yet about
coming soon.
Yeah. The overlap between superhero directors and horror directors.
Very much.
And like this can be that perfect culmination of there are so many who are great. Scott Derrickson is great at both. Sam Raimi, probably Nia DaCosta. I haven't seen the Marvels yet, but probably Nia DaCosta.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah.
I think we're getting a trailer for Super Bowl, so fingers crossed.
Okay, dope. Swamp Thing, there's always the case of DC and Marvel characters being very similar. And after seeing what they did with Man-Thing and Marvel.
Oh my gosh, I love him.
Adorability to take aside, just like the visuals of that.
So good.
If you want to take that and make it scary, not just like old school reference to what was scary back in the day, you could make Swamp Thing horrifying. He already looks scary.
You know what's funny? So in that reaction that we have not released yet, we were also talking about how it's always been horror director to superhero directors. This time around, it might be superhero director to horror director. Because the day after all this news came out, it was announced that James Mangold is in talks to direct. And I don't think James Mangold has ever done a horror movie. I just looked at his IMDb.
I don't think so.
So, but he's a fantastic director. I mean, the guy did Logan. He did Ford versus Ferrari. He's doing the upcoming Indiana Jones movie. But yeah, word is he's in talks to direct Swamp Thing, and he's phenomenal at what he does. So I'm sure he could probably pull off a horror movie.
Yeah, and I would love to see it. Yeah, we don't have a lot of information, but I
didn't give a lot.
Yeah, I love horror movies. I love superhero movies.
What I know is that I will probably watch this movie. It's like, Demi, you don't like horror movies? I don't, but it's in the DC universe. And according to James Gunn, it's going to tie into the larger story. So I got to watch it. I got to see it. Yeah. I got to know. Also, I didn't check out the TV series, so I don't really have any knowledge of Swamp Thing whatsoever, except for that episode of Harley Quinn. And I'm sure that's not the best thing to go off of.
He's played by Sam Richardson of all people.
Where he's trying to get laid by Mr. Freeze's ex-wife widower.
It was a wild episode.
It was a wild episode.
As they all are.
And he and Poison Ivy are trying to get along.
Crystal Reed is in the Swamp Thing show.
She is.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah. But it only lasted a season, I believe.
Yeah.
But everybody that I hear talk about it, they're like, man, I don't know why it only lasted a season. It was pretty good, though.
Nice.
So I would assume budgetary reasons if it was pretty good.
Probably.
But yeah, there wasn't much said about Swamp Thing. They just said it was going to be tonally different from the rest and yet still connect story-wise. I think James Gunn with this Slate has done an excellent job of giving us a diversity of things.
Yeah.
We've got some big names, some heavy hitters like Superman, Supergirl, the Lanterns, Batman, even Waller a little bit. But we've also gotten some obscure stuff that you've never quite heard of. Most people in the world probably don't know who Booster Gold is. Most of us don't know who the Authority is, even the ones of us me and Dallas who are very into DC.
Yeah, I don't know that.
Creature Commandos, it's a very James Gunn slate. He's going to give you a lot of what you know, and he's going to give you a lot of what you don't know. But he's going to make you care about them all the same. But also, I think a variety of tones that we're getting here. A horror movie. We've got a Superman movie, which is obviously going to be bright, and we're going to get like a sci-fi epic. We're getting a mystery that might be a cosmic mystery set on Earth.
Yeah, I love that.
We're getting an animated show. You know, just all sorts of things for this one slate.
One of the things that's very important for me in all of these movies and TV series is that the director's vision and the vision of the writers and all of the creators is unique.
I think that really fits the gods and monsters sort of thing as well, because we're also going to have, you know, Superman is seen as a god, but we've also got the Authority, who we're probably also seen as gods. Who knows? We've got monsters, Swamp Thing, people who behave as monsters. People who dress up as monsters, Batman. You know, so I think the title fits itself very well, and I think it's a very interesting slate. I can't say if it's going to be great. I'm hopeful that it's going to be great.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
There are a couple of other things that were said that I'm very interested in. James Gunn made a comment saying people have become beholden to release dates to getting movies made no matter what. I'm a writer at my heart, and we're not going to be making movies before the screenplay is finished. He said that even films with front-loaded release dates will be pushed down the calendar if the script is not ready prior to production. I've seen it happen again and again. It's a mess. It's the primary reason for the deterioration in quality of films today versus 20 to 30 years ago.
Storytelling is always king. That's all that matters to us. And I want to be true to those stories. I want to be true to you guys and really give you something different than you've ever seen before.
That says a lot to me. We are not going to be having movies that like you're writing it as we go along. Like at the very least, there will be a solid script at the ready before they even start rolling cameras.
Yeah, which is great.
And it means that whatever release dates they give us are more likely to be accurate. Which is why I'm hopeful that Batman release date is not moving.
Right. Fingers crossed.
Like, we only got 2 release dates. We were told about 10 projects. And then if you count the Batman's release date, that's 11. And out of those 11, we got 2 release dates. That's for The Batman, which we all knew what was coming because the first one did so well. And we knew that Matt Reeves was in the midst of writing it. And Superman, which we know that James Gunn is currently in the midst of writing. Yeah. And both of those movies aren't even coming out until 2025. That's 2 years from now. That's enough time to get this all sorted out. So I think DC's headed in a good direction, which is what we've been wanting for years.
I'm excited. I'm excited to see where we go with it.
This is a good idea. These concepts are great, and now it's time to see them executed and put into action, and I'm very excited to see what those look like. If you're like me and you want to know what comics to look into, like for instance, I bought Supergirl, I bought Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow the day that the Slate was released because I was fascinated by the concept. So if you want to know other comics that James Gunn has recommended, on Twitter he posted that the inspiration touchstones for the Slate were All-Star Superman, which is written by Grant Morrison, Frank Quitely, and Jamie Grant. By the way, it was Grant Morrison's birthday when they released the Slate, so very fitting. The Authority, which is written by Warren Ellis, Mark Millar, Tom Payer, Frank Quitely, and Dustin Nguyen. Batman, you can look up the Batman Omnibus by Grant Morrison. And Absolute Swamp Thing by Alan Moore, Stephen R. Bissett, John Totleben, Rick Veitch, Sean McManus, and Dan Day. So those are comics you guys can look into if you guys are fascinated by what was mentioned on the Slate, or if you're interested in just figuring out what the tone of these movies might be before they come out. This is your chance to get a hint of what's coming before it comes.
Nice.
That's the whole Slate, though, guys. You said that you're most excited for The Brave and the Bold.
Brave and the Bold. Batman is my dude.
I said it depends on the day for me.
Yes.
So, yeah, I don't know. I'm like, today it's like...
What's it today?
Today it's like Superman, The Brave and the Bold, and Supergirl.
Okay.
Like, those
are your top 3.
Yeah, those 3 like run through my head often.
That's fair.
I think Superman, because I've been really wanting a legitimate Superman film for a while. The Brave and the Bold, because my boy Damien's coming into the mix.
Yeah.
And because it'll just be a completely different Batman movie than The Batman, which, like I said, The Batman is my favorite Batman movie, but I'm totally down for us having a different style of Batman movie. And then Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, because I love sci-fi and I'm fascinated at the concept that they gave us for that. So that's why I'm reading the comic. But I also want to buy a couple of more of the other comics that he mentioned. So let us know. What are you guys most excited for from this DCU slate? Are you excited for the DCU slate? Are you not? Tell us why you're not excited. Like, is there any like actual concrete reason? Can you have a concrete reason for not being excited?
Yeah. Are you just like Colin and you don't get excited? Let us know. In the meantime, thank you. Thank you for listening. We love you.
We love doing this.
Yes. We're going to talk about this stuff regardless, so it's nice to have an audience.
But legitimately, me and Dallas went like the whole week without talking to each other about this slate.
Yes, we can do it here. For you, the people. Thank you, Crown Digital, Brandon and Isle. You put us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. We love you for it. Demi, thank you for editing, putting us on YouTube, being the other person on the podcast who cares enough to be here.
Hi.
And, hanging out and nerding out with me. That's what we do.
Honestly, we're the two you guys want to listen to talk about DC.
Yeah, if you had to pick 2, it's us. And if it's not, you're wrong.
I mean, you might want to hear what Colin has to say about DC, but I don't think it's much that you'd be interested in. It'd be a lot of hot takes.
He's into monsters. So Gods and Monsters. I can see the energy there. We asked you earlier, what are you excited about? If you're not excited, tell us why. Maybe you just don't get excited. That's your business. You can say all that in the comments, or you can hit us on Twitter at y'all_different, Instagram and Tumblr at Creative Differences Podcast, or Facebook.com/Creative Differences PC, or TikTok at Creative Differences Pod. Take one big final shot. If you want to talk about how great the DCAU is, I'm always ready, and I'm always on Twitter and or Instagram at a king named Simba.
If you guys want to talk to me about any of the things on this slate that I'm super excited about, I mean, I can talk about anything on the slate, but the ones I'm super excited about, you guys can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Dreamy Films. Dreamy is spelled DREEMI. Thank you guys again for joining us. Don't forget to check out a bunch of those fan casts that we mentioned, because we have fan casted basically this entire universe before it was even made. So
That's true. Yeah, if you want to find Gabby on Twitter, she's on Twitter at Monster Mommy.
That's
Sorry,
Gabby Collins.
And you can find Colin on Twitter at Swamp Thirst.
That one works too.
Yeah, I wanted Gabby's to be Thirst and then Colin's to be Monster, but like, you know,
We do what we
Gabby's
can.
a mommy. Anyway, it's been different. Bye.
Bye.
I do wish Colin was here.
Yeah.
Just for the reason of Creature Commandos. We talked about how the internet's gonna get weird. We have a dude who is
A self-proclaimed. Yeah.
Yeah, that. He's into monsters. And we're talking about Creature Commandos, and it's just like,
Also talking about Swamp Thing.
right, like, Colin, where are you when we need you? Talk about these monsters.
This was the episode for you,
This was your splash zone, Colin.
and now we're forced to miss it.